Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Liverpool, and this time around it was Liverpool versus Sheffield United at Anfield. From last season, both games against Sheffield United were pretty tough. The one game against Anfield was probably a bit of an outlier as to how Sheffield United played last season, but obviously the game away at Bramall Lane last year was a very, very tough one, and we got a very lucky goal there. And regardless of how Sheffield United have started this season, I always knew at least that this was going to be a very tough game for us. They've had a couple of injuries as well, same as us, and it was going to be a backs against the wall performance from them, and with Rhian Brewster as well coming back and facing his former team. Well, the big news before the game from a Liverpool perspective was the return of Alisson Becker, our number one goalkeeper, someone who we've kind of really firmly missed the last couple of games. Adrian has done a decent job, but we just look a lot more safer at the back when Alisson is playing. And given the absence of Van Dijk for the rest of the season, Alisson's going to be super important at the back there to keep that kind of calming nature, knowing when to go long, knowing when to go short, and just kind of providing that reassurance at the back that we won't have whilst Virgil van Dijk is away. And then the other piece of news before the game even started was the apparent change in formation or change in approach from Jurgen Klopp. For the past 18 months, 2 years, even longer than that, we've seen Liverpool pretty much line up with a 4-3-3 in every game, be it in the Community Shield, be it in the Carabao Cup, be it in the Premier League, be it in the Champions League. Even if the kind of first 11 players aren't playing, Liverpool have always played in that 4-3-3 formation, and that kind of seemed like the way Klopp wanted the entirety of Liverpool to play. But this time around it was something slightly different, it seemed like. And I don't know whether that was down to the injuries we had in the team and maybe some of the fatigue from the Ajax game, or whether it was actually more down to the opposition and how we wanted to play at home against Sheffield United. I actually think probably it was a mixture of the two. In midfield, obviously Naby Keita was missing, Thiago was still missing after the challenge on him from Richarlison last week. James Milner obviously played the full 90 minutes in Ajax, so probably wasn't ready to go again for another 90 minutes. Curtis Jones maybe again played at Ajax, even though it was only 45 minutes, and so maybe that kind of forced Jurgen Klopp's hand into playing basically kind of 4 of our 5 or 6 front players and attacking players in Sadio Mane, Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah and Diego Jota, and I actually think the way it kind of ended up setting up was in a 4-2-2-2 formation. So you had Wijnaldum and Henderson as the kind of 2 sitting midfielders, and then Mane and Jota as the more wide ones, then Firmino and Salah up front. And it was very, very interesting to see kind of at the beginning of the game, and in the first half in particular, how that would pan out, whether that would provide more support for kind of Firmino to get him more involved in the game, how Jota and Mane would fare kind of being slightly deeper on the wings, and how Mo Salah would fare up front with someone else. And I think very much in the first half, you could tell it was a formation that the players weren't totally used to. It seemed like things weren't clicking so much, and we were definitely under pressure from Sheffield United in the first game. I think one of the things that's super key and really, really important for this formation to succeed is the rotation between the 4. So, naturally, as I explained it, Mane starts on the left, Firmino and Salah in the middle, and Jota on the right. But it'll be interesting to see, if we play this formation more often, to see those 4 interchange. Now, if they start interchanging, that's where I think we'll really start causing problems, because then defenders don't know, is it Salah who's going to come out onto the right and cut into his left foot, or is it going to be, Jota on the right hand side who's going to get to the byline and cross a ball into Mane maybe coming in at the far post, or Bobby Firmino, and that's where I really, really think that we can start to use that formation to our benefit. But I definitely think in this game you could tell it was a new kind of formation, a new way of playing for us, and we weren't totally comfortable with it throughout the game. And then obviously at the end of the game, when things got a bit tight, we went back to the 4-3-3 and when Klopp made a couple of changes. But I think that formation for me works better when we have that rotation up front that I just talked about, but also when the midfield is slightly different. I think we need someone like a Henderson in there who is very good at breaking up the play, but also joining the play up kind of further up the field. But then also, I think it works better with someone like Thiago in there. I think when we have 2 kind of breaking up kind of midfielders like we have with Wijnaldum and Henderson, I feel like that just leaves a big gap between kind of defense and attack, and it puts an even more pressure on the likes of Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold to create, which we know they can do. But not everything's going to come from there, and it would be great to have someone like Thiago, if we do decide to play this formation, who can really provide that kind of link between defense and attack. So starting off in the game, kind of started off pretty frantically. We had a chance with Sadio Mane where Ramsdale came steaming out and Mane was able to roll the ball past him. But unfortunately for us, unfortunately for Sheffield United, they were able to clear the ball away. And the game started off, I guess, pretty high intensity and pretty frantic. Not what you would normally expect from a game where you think maybe Liverpool might be tired from the Ajax game and a Sheffield United team that, can't lose, right? But it was Sheffield United who did make the breakthrough early on. Fabinho it was a poor clearance, and then he dived in on Oli McBurney. And obviously, if you guys have watched the game, you would have seen that the VAR decision was very, very close as to whether it was in the box or outside the box. I think people are questioning the fact that it was a foul as well. I think if that was anywhere else on the pitch, it would have been a foul. So I'm not questioning the foul too much. I'm just questioning the fact that it was kind of clearly, Fabinho's foot was clearly outside of the line of the penalty box, and I think that's really really unfair. Just because Oli McBurney's foot was on there, that's kind of classed as a penalty. I think a free kick there would have it seemed like for me the right thing to do, and it's strange how VAR spends about 10 seconds making a decision like that, but then spends like 4 minutes analysing lines for an offside. It's all just very inconsistent. I'm not going to go into the whole VAR stuff. I went into it last week with the Everton game, but it was frustrating. But it was a mistake by Fabinho. I think we can all admit. He dived in, didn't need to dive in. He's been very, very good since coming in at centre-back, particularly in the Ajax game midweek. But this was a mistake from him, and ultimately we paid the price. And as the first half went on, as I said, we kind of were getting more used to the formation, and we were pressing on Sheffield United without really causing any problems. Ramsdale didn't really make any saves other than Trent shooting from the halfway line, but that wasn't really going to go in. They were looking like they were causing more problems with balls in behind, but Fabinho and Joe Gomez stayed pretty strong. And then we were kind of toiling away, but we finally did make the breakthrough just before halftime. It was a great whipped-in cross from Jordan Henderson, who I have to say again was absolutely mega. I've praised him in many episodes this season, and I'll continue to praise him. His work rate, his defensive play, as well as his how he contributes from an attacking perspective as well, has been absolutely fantastic. And I think he's being an absolute model professional and model kind of player for Liverpool, and he has been for the last 2-3 years, and he's just continuing to show that. But it was a great ball in from him. Mane probably should have scored with a header. It was a free header. It was probably 6 yards out. But it was straight at Ramsdale, who probably could have done better in palming the ball away, but he kind of just palmed it in the middle of the goal, and Bobby Firmino put it in. And obviously there's that kind of moment of nervousness as to whether it was offside or not. But fortunately for us, Mane and both Firmino were both onside when the cross was played in from Jordan Henderson. And that was it. We went into halftime 1-1. I think that was a big milestone for us. And I think a negative milestone for Sheffield United. I think they would have been hoping to get in at the halftime 1-0 up, because then they could really regroup in the second half and kind of really have that thing that they wanted to hold on to. So then as the second half went on, it at least started with one team really kind of going out trying to get the win, I would say, and that was very much us, kind of on the front foot. Again, not causing too many problems to Aaron Ramsdale's goal, but on the front foot, passing the ball in Sheffield United's half, and we nearly did get the lead with a great ball from Trent Alexander-Arnold, again from that right-hand side, kind of a deep cross into the box, controlled amazingly by Mo Salah, and then flicked past Aaron Ramsdale. But as soon as it went in, I think me, like many other Liverpool fans, just didn't celebrate, because we know, given what happened last week, and given just how VAR is working at the moment, we never knew whether it would be offside or not, and it was actually offside. So I think it was quite clearly offside. No issues with it. It was a great bit of play from Trent and Mo Salah as well, but it was offside. None of the players were really complaining, and we move on. But fortunately for us, we didn't have to wait too long until after that moment to actually go ahead and get the goal that took us into the lead. And it was a good play from Sadio Mane down the left-hand side, kind of getting his defender one-on-one, just bursting past him and then crossing a ball into the box for Diego Jota to climb in between, I think it was Egan and Osborne, I think it was. and bury his header. It's very, very strange that we pretty much scored from 2 crosses into the box. Sheffield United have very big centre-backs. Our strikers are not known for being big and tall. We haven't got a Giroud or anyone like that. But yes, strangely enough, it was actually 2 crosses, really, that got us both of our goals. And the second goal from Diego Jota was taken very, very well. I was really impressed with him in midweek when he came on against Ajax, in terms of how he helped take the ball up the pitch when we were under pressure, particularly towards the end of the game. And I think he had another decent game today. With his work rate, obviously came off just before the end, had a bit of ice on his calf, I think it was, but looks like he will hopefully be fine. But he had a very good game, another goal as well, his I think his second Premier League goal now at Anfield, following that one against Arsenal earlier. But again, another great performance from him. And we went on and kind of held out then. I think we were definitely under pressure. We didn't maybe hold the ball as well as we could have or should have done once we went 2-1 up. And there were a couple of, nervy moments. But, there's always going to be that case when you play any Premier League game because the teams are all so good. But we did hold out for a 2-1 victory. That takes us top of the league with Everton playing tomorrow. I'm pretty sure they will win. I'm not sure who they're playing. But that kind of back and forth now between Liverpool and Everton is very, very interesting. Manchester City kind of still there. Obviously, they dropped points as well today against West Ham, who we play next up. West Ham have been on a very good bit of form recently, so Mikel Antonio and the like will be a very, very tough set of opponents. But we'll worry about that later. We've obviously got a Champions League game midweek as well. The games are coming absolutely thick and fast at the moment, and it'll be really interesting to see how Klopp and all the other managers manage their squads, manage the fitness, but then also manage their kind of consistency, and if your team is in form, keeping the players playing and all that type of stuff. So it'll be very interesting across the board in terms of how teams and managers address this. So guys, as I always do a shout out to Klopp, and I do my man of the match as well. I want to start off with my man of the match first, and for me, that was Joe Gomez. He's taken a bit of stick in the past couple of games about, particularly when he's playing on that left side of the defence now that Van Dijk is out. He's caught a bit of stick, I think, probably a little bit from me as well as from other fans and pundits alike. But I thought today he was really, really good. He was really solid. Fabinho, who's been great the past couple of games, didn't have his best game, but Joe Gomez was there to pick up the slack with his pace in the second half as they brought on Burke, and then also kind of just his commanding nature. I think having Alisson behind him as well gave him a lot of confidence, which allowed him to have that kind of freedom and ability to really command the defensive line, and I think he did really, really well. And it'll be interesting to see now. I think Matip didn't feature in midweek, didn't feature again. I think his injuries may be slightly more niggly than Klopp would have liked. And it's interesting with all these injuries, Klopp is never really, I think, open about injuries. Like, we never know how serious an injury is or something. Like Matip and like Keita's out now. Like, what's wrong with Keita? How long's he out for? It's very interesting. Klopp's very coy about that, and I'm sure there's reasons for that. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with the centre back partnerships. Whether he sticks with Fabinho and Gomez, or whether Matip comes back in midweek against I can't even say their name. They're a Danish team, but. Yeah, it would be interesting, but I think he played really, really well, and I think it was a testament to, and I think he's seeing it as an opportunity as well. I think he's seeing this kind of Van Dijk being out as an opportunity for him to really solidify his position. There's obviously been talk about us maybe going to buy someone like Upamecano or someone like that, but he's reminding everyone that he's still here. He's a great player as well, so great to see him. And I guess the shout out to Klopp is, I love the formation. I do like it. It was something different. We haven't really done anything different for the last 2 years. We haven't really had to because everything's been working. But I really, really like the kind of change of formation and change of approach of playing almost kind of a 4-2-2-2. And I think particularly against teams that maybe sit back against us, it will be a really, really good formation. And I think, the only difference will be if we had someone like a Thiago in the midfield, I think that would really, really help with how we play. But that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Next up, we've got West Ham in the Premier League, but a game in midweek again in the Champions League. But thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you guys supporting this channel and this series, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.